Case that rocked the mid-state. A Hummelstown police officer shot an unarmed man who was lying on the ground after he had fled from a traffic stop.
A Dauphin County jury found Officer Lisa Mearkle not guilty in the case. There was a video. The jury felt the victim appeared to be reaching into his jacket.
Joining us to discuss the case, Mid-State Attorney Devon Jacob, who specializes in civil rights cases frequently involving police.
And if you've seen any social media responses, everybody seems to have a strong opinion about this case. What's your reaction?
Well, I have to start by saying that I am a national civil rights attorney, so I do this nationally. I have a national law practice, so this is not the first police shooting that I've been asked to evaluate. It's not the first police shooting that I've been involved with as far as litigating from a civil standpoint. Now, I'm not involved in this particular case, but as a former police officer myself, I can certainly understand what I'm looking at. And looking at the video, I have to say that I'm really surprised that she was not convicted of voluntary manslaughter. Now, do I think Officer Mearkle woke up in the morning and said, I want to kill somebody, and was this murder? Absolutely not. But as far as voluntary manslaughter, this is a clear situation, textbook case, where an individual thought or mistakenly believed that the force was necessary. It was not necessary, and someone's dead.
We heard the family's going to file a civil suit. That is your expertise. Do they have a case?
They absolutely have a case. The officer is still governed by federal law as well as state law. In the Fourth Amendment, it's an objective test as opposed to a subjective test, meaning it doesn't really matter whether Officer Mearkle says that she was in fear. The question is, what were the facts that were presented to the officer, and would a reasonable officer under those same circumstances believe that deadly force was necessary?
And she says she wants to go back to work, but how effective do you think she can be in the borough after what's happened?
Well, I think there's two questions really wrapped up in that. First of all, she cannot be effective. Just from a practical standpoint, every scene that she goes to, there's going to be some discussion with some townsperson who's upset or concerned about what happened. But the reality is the fact that she was acquitted, that's not the deciding factor. The acquittal alone simply says that there's still a question as to whether she violated department policy. Had she been convicted, it would have been a presumption that she violated the law, and therefore she would have been fired. In this situation, there's a question, but again, we're going back to what governs in this situation, and this is not a small policy. This is a use of force policy, and there's a death involved. She clearly violated any policy that should have been in place, and she should be terminated.
Devon Jacob, thank you so much for the discussion, and I'm sure there's lots of discussion all over the mid-state on this one. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now let's discuss the weather. Eric.